Friday forecast time, and boy, we got a good one. Nebraska at Colorado. This is going to be fun. We knew it was going to be a fun one before last week. Now, after last weekend, you say this is going to be even better. Sean, let me ask you first about what you expected going in and what you saw last weekend from Colorado.
Well, yeah, first, from Nebraska's perspective, nobody was really picking Nebraska against Minnesota, but I think what hurts is they should have won that game. And that's why you're like, all right, most of us probably had 0-1, but they should be 1-0. And on the flip side, I think most of us had Colorado 0-1, and they're an incredible 1-0 right now. I mean, the way they looked, the way they executed, I mean, they got TCU's best shot, and they went blow for blow against TCU. They did not back down. There was a moment where it looked like TCU was going to take control, and then they fought back. So for as much hype as there has been around Colorado, very rarely do the expectations get met. In this case, I think they've been overmet.
Yeah, Matt Rule said he was not surprised to see Colorado play so well, knowing that Deion Sanders has succeeded at every level as a player, as a coach, etc. So this is going to be a good matchup. We'll get back to Colorado in a second. But how about Nebraska? What do they have to clean up after looking at the film of the Minnesota loss? Obviously, you have to push the disappointment behind you. But what do they need to clean?
Well, let's start on offense. I think number one, quarterback Jeff Sims has got to get better at seeing down the field and making the right reads. He struggles down the field of throws. He was good on short throws of 10 yards or less, but anything 10 to 20 or 20 plus, that's where all of his picks came. And I think he was 3 for 9 on those throws, with 3 of those being picks. So they've got to get that ironed out. Offensive line had some communication issues, so that was somewhat of an issue. They've got to get a Gabe Ervin going. There's some playmakers on offense I want to see get going this week. Billy Kemp, Thomas Fidone. They didn't have a catch, and that is shocking to me. I expected both those players to have bigger roles in this offense. And then, defensively, that was about as good of a game one as I was hoping for. Sure, there were some third down things, but Minnesota threw the ball, Andy, 44 times in that game. That's the most throws the Gophers have had in a game since throwing 44 in a game in 2015. They threw the ball 35 times in the second half, 35 times, which the school record ever against Nebraska was 68 throws in 1998. They were on a pace in the second half to have more throws than anyone's ever had on Nebraska.
And a lot of that having to do with because Nebraska shut down their run game. I want to get back to the wide receivers. You mentioned Billy Kemp. We learned on Monday that Isaiah Garcia-Castaneda will be out for the year. He tore his ACL. Terrible news for him. Hitting a room that's already thin. What do the Huskers do moving forward? And A, do we see more freshmen play? And B, do we see more wrinkles involving Heinrich Haarberg and perhaps the kid on defense as well?
Yeah, I think Heinrich Haarberg is going to continue to get more snaps. Tommy Hill is a given. The biggest thing is they need a guy that can take the top off of defense. And Tommy Hill is that kind of player. He's veteran. Jalen Lloyd, Malachi Coleman have the speed, but they're young. And are they physically ready? I think those players, they have to just slowly keep increasing their workload. We saw Jalen Lloyd. I think nobody could have, at this time last year, could have said Jalen Lloyd's going to convert a key first down for Nebraska in a season opening game. He wasn't even on the radar for Nebraska. So I think he's way ahead of schedule. Malachi Coleman, I just think, getting him just right physically, mentally for this level, that's the key. But those young kids are going to have to play more.
Yeah, Marcus Washington, actually, after he served his first half suspension, played very well. Speaking of suspensions, I want to ask you about Ty Robinson because he's going to have to sit out the first half, and that's a blow for the Husker defense.
Yeah, Ty Robinson, tough targeting call was the right call, headbutt of the quarterback. I look at this game where Nebraska's going to have the advantage, and to me, it's their physical Big Ten size and their biggest body is not going to be available for the first half. So I do think the Ty Robinson thing is notable on a lot of respects because I'm not sure TCU had a Ty Robinson last week, and I think for Nebraska, if they win this game in Boulder, it's going to be because their physical size and they bottle up Colorado early on.
And try to play keep away, and you're going to have to try to play keep away from a guy who plays both sides, and Travis Hunter. That guy was all over the field, played almost 130 snaps against TCU. You had to be impressed with that guy.
Yeah, on one point, should we be surprised? He was a 5-star. I think 2 of the recruiting services had him number 1 in the country. On3 Consensus has him number 2. He's as good of any recruit coming out in the country, and he followed Deion Sanders from Jackson State to Colorado. So they got exactly what they bargained for with this guy. He is what the ranking says. Dylan Edwards, top player in Kansas, looked like that on Saturday, and we're familiar with Dylan Edwards because he was recruited by Nebraska, and then Sanders at quarterback for what he did in his first game. Wow.
Yeah, Sanders on the day, the quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, 38 of 47 for 510 and 4 touchdowns.
School record, by the way.
Completed 81%.
School record.
81% of his passes. All right, finally, it's going to be a circus. It's going to be fun. Well, what do you expect Saturday at Folsom Field?
The one advantage is very few circuses start at 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think for Nebraska, like, there's just not going to be a lot of time to get everybody riled up.
Get everybody lathered up, as they say,
And
right? 10 a.m. is a tough time.
I think that's a break. I mean, if this was a 2:30 game or a night game, oh my gosh! Like, but even for us, it's like we're going to leave our hotel at like 7 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning to get over there. I just think that is an advantage, and people are going to be jacked up though. I mean, that performance is going to just ignite that sports community. That's a pro sports market. They got a pro guy now in Deion Sanders that's going to draw. I mean, this is as big of a sporting event for Colorado athletics in years.
Yeah, the toughest ticket in the country just got tougher. It's Nebraska and Colorado Saturday, big noon kickoff, which starts 11 Central, which is 10 out